The world is in a state of confusion with the ongoing conflicts in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas. Many other countries are confused as to who to support. While everyone is distracted by who to take sides with, Russia, on the other hand, under the leadership of Vladimir Putin, has been busy making moves and creating more alliances based on their new foreign policy concept, which he approved and signed in March 2023. In this document, Putin clearly outlines the entire vision of Russia, which is to create a multipolar world order that will make the power of the US irrelevant on the world stage. This move will enable Russia to forge ties and strategic partnerships with other big and powerful nations like China and India. In this concept, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, clearly expressed how irrelevant the US methods are, especially when it comes to imposing its values and political interests in other countries, which violates international law without regard to global stability. But we all know he doesn't just talk of the US, but also all NATO member states. Russia has recently made a strategic move that has captured the attention of the Western world. What exactly did Russia do, and what could be the consequences for the global balance of power? Let's explore this development, which took place while the world was distracted and had its focus elsewhere. In the most recent G20 summit hosted by India, a gathering where leaders from major economies come together to discuss global issues and coordinate policies. However, there was something strange about this year's summit. Two of its most powerful leaders, the President of China, Xi Jinping, and Russian President Vladimir Putin, were absent. They decided to hold a separate meeting in Beijing, just the two of them. In this meeting, the two leaders signed new strategic partnerships and agreements that strengthened their bilateral relationship. This was interpreted as a growing division in international politics. It is now the East against the West. In this region, we observe a resurgence of Cold War-era alliances as Russia and China strengthen their connections with North Korea, a nation with nuclear capabilities that poses a threat to its neighbors and the US especially. This move is definitely getting the US pissed. Amidst the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, there has been mounting international pressure on Russia. The US and its allies have imposed sanctions on Russia and provided support for Ukraine, condemning Russia's aggression and violation of international law. In response, Russia has accused the West of interference and attempting to curtail its influence. Meanwhile, China has been facing increased difficulty in accessing technology, particularly from the US, which has restricted certain products and services to Chinese companies due to concerns about national security and human rights. China has criticized these actions as being unfair and very discriminatory, and has pledged to enhance its own technological capabilities and innovation. The evolving alliances among China, North Korea, and Russia extend beyond regional dynamics. They carry significant global implications. Russia has made another intriguing move by dispatching warships from its Pacific Naval Fleet to dock at Bangladesh's port of Chittagong. This port, the country's largest and a crucial hub for trade and commerce, welcomed the warships, including two anti-submarine warfare ships, Admiral Treats and Admiral Pantelia, and a tanker, Pinga. This visit follows joint naval exercises between Myanmar and Russia in the Andaman Sea, adding an interesting dimension to the geopolitical landscape. The recent visit of Russian warships signifies the strengthening ties between Bangladesh and Russia, despite Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, starting in February 2022. Russia is actively involved in constructing Bangladesh's sole nuclear power plant, the Raipur nuclear power plant, and is scheduled to deliver the country's first uranium shipment in October 2022. This nuclear project is anticipated to boost Bangladesh's energy security and foster economic development. The Russian embassy in Dhaka has expressed enthusiasm, describing the visit as a significant milestone for Russia-Bangladesh relations. Moreover, this visit underscores Russia's keen interest in expanding its presence and influence in the Indo-Pacific region, where it faces competition from major powers like the United States and India. By engaging with Bangladesh, a populous and rapidly growing nation, Russia aims to access new markets and opportunities. Additionally, by collaborating with Bangladesh on naval and security matters, Russia seeks to fortify its strategic position in the Bay of Bengal, a crucial waterway for trade and energy, and to counter the influence of the US-led Quad Alliance, which advocates for a free and open Indo-Pacific. Monitoring Russia's strategic relationships with North Korea and China is also vital, especially for South Korea. The recent trilateral partnership announcement involving Japan, South Korea, and the United States at Camp David in August may appear to have triggered closer ties between China, North Korea, and Russia. However, this narrative doesn't capture the entire story. An increasing partnership between the three countries has developed because of a number of events that have raised security concerns in their respective capitals, leading them to seek mutual support. The Japan-South Korea-US alliance was the turning point in this sequence of events. The initial trigger for this was the introduction of the Indo-Pacific concept, which emerged as a strategic vision for the region. This concept was viewed with suspicion by Beijing and Moscow, who saw it as a new Cold War tactic to contain China's rise. North Korea joined Beijing and Moscow in opposition, although China did not initially react strongly to the Indo-Pacific concept, seeing it as a temporary and surface-level aspect of former US President Donald Trump's foreign policy rhetoric. Earlier this year, Seoul and Tokyo normalized their relations in a significant development. The two countries agreed to collaborate and set aside historical grievances to address the North Korean threat. However, Beijing became suspicious of any hidden motives or agendas against China in this partnership. Beijing's suspicion increased when the US joined its allies, conducting joint military drills in the region. There was also growing distrust due to Japan, South Korea, and NATO's increasing ties. In the meantime, Japan demonstrated its strength, asserting its role as a regional power. This was evident in their National Security Strategy and Defense White Paper that was released earlier this year, outlining ambitious plans to strengthen defense capabilities and security cooperation. China interpreted this as a clear indication of a shifting balance of power in the region and a growing challenge from the US-led coalition. The US, Japan, and South Korea's united front increased China's feeling of isolation and threat. The situation further escalated with the trilateral summit at Camp David, where leaders of Japan, South Korea, and the United States gathered. The leaders expressed a shared commitment to counter North Korea and issued an unprecedented joint statement condemning China's actions in the South China Sea, an area Beijing considered a core interest. The summit also established a regular consultation mechanism and comprehensive agenda for trilateral cooperation. This showed that the alliance was not just a temporary response to the North Korean crisis, but a long-term strategic partnership, addressing various regional and global issues, including the economy, cyber intelligence, and security. The recent summit involving China, North Korea, and Russia has changed the dynamics in East Asia. According to sources, China initiated a dialogue with North Korea, asserting its leadership in the alliance. North Korea, in turn, aims to align with China and Russia to enhance its security, as both countries oppose US influence. Russia wants to strengthen its partnership with China, as highlighted by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi's visit to Moscow, where he stressed the need for continued strategic cooperation against unilateral actions, hegemony, and confrontation. Kim Jong-un invited Russian President Vladimir Putin to Pyongyang after visiting Russia in September, indicating an interest in expanding ties with North Korea. However, the growing cooperation between China, North Korea, and Russia faces challenges, as North Korea may attempt to balance relations with both China and Russia, depending on China for economic support, but also seeking diversified sources of technology and equipment, especially when it comes to its own military. There are at least 4 significant risks posed by this emerging trilateral partnership. One threat is the potential prolongation and escalation of the war in Ukraine, where Russia is conducting a harsh campaign against the Ukrainian people. Russia's actions, including attacks on civilians and infrastructure, are considered war crimes and must be halted. China and North Korea could further equip Russia, making it challenging for Western countries to support Ukraine's sovereignty. This, in turn, would deplete the resources and capabilities of Western nations. The second risk involves the potential engagement of Chinese and North Korean personnel and experts in the Ukrainian conflict, turning the region into a testing ground for the three countries to enhance their weapons and tactics. This scenario resembles what occurred in the Spanish Civil War before World War II, resulting in improved military capabilities for China, North Korea, and Russia, making them more formidable in future conflicts. Thirdly, all three members of this trilateral partnership share a common goal of expanding their territory and influence beyond their current borders. This ambition may lead to simultaneous wars on multiple fronts, aiming to overwhelm their adversaries through coordinated attacks. A similar strategy was employed by the Axis powers in the early stages of World War II. While the United States used to have a military doctrine prepared for such a threat, recent years have seen a decline in its capabilities, with worn-out and insufficient military equipment. Facing three major theater wars simultaneously would pose a daunting challenge for the US military, if not an impossible one. Lastly, the three partners in this alliance possess a dangerous weapon in their arsenal: nuclear weapons. Any major war initiated by them could potentially escalate into a nuclear conflict, causing devastating consequences worldwide. While the United States used to plan for such scenarios in the 1980s, integrating conventional and nuclear forces, this planning has been neglected since the end of the Cold War. If the United States is not prepared for this type of warfare, it could face a nuclear disaster with catastrophic implications. So, how can the United States and its allies respond to this grave threat posed by the partnership between Russia, China, and North Korea? While there's no easy way to halt their cooperation or aggression, attacking their military supplies could exacerbate the situation. Nonetheless, there are actions that the United States and its allies can take. Firstly, understanding the future of warfare is crucial. Being prepared for the unexpected and knowing how to confront the type of war they may face, as demonstrated in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, is essential. Learning from this experience, the United States and its allies need answers to questions such as predicting invasions, understanding the weaponry used, identifying weak points in defenses, and comprehending the limitations of adversaries' nuclear capabilities. There's a need for a comprehensive approach on how to effectively combine conventional and nuclear forces in response to evolving threats. The next step involves advancing new military capabilities to uphold the US's strategic edge. Utilizing technological strengths, innovation, and the resourcefulness of its soldiers is pivotal. Yet, it's crucial to emphasize that developing these capabilities isn't merely about producing new weapons. It also involves understanding their effective use in diverse scenarios. The third action entails re-evaluating the requirements of the US military in response to emerging threats. Identifying the necessary forces and their composition to address potential conflicts initiated by the partnership is crucial. Although such assessments might be seen as financially demanding, as evidenced by Ukraine, maintaining a robust defense budget is crucial. A weak defense budget can prove more costly if it fails to deter an attack. Furthermore, the potential costs of a war involving nuclear weapons are unimaginable. The US cannot afford to be drawn into such a conflict due to perceived vulnerabilities. The fourth action involves employing economic and information operations to impede the movement of North Korean and Chinese supplies to Ukraine. Imposing sanctions on any North Korean companies and banks involved is essential. Diplomatically pressuring China and North Korea to cease the shipment of artillery shells and other items is crucial. Additionally, exposing and cautioning North Korea about the use of its shells in Russia's war crimes is necessary to hold it accountable. What do you think about all the moves Russia is making? Let us know in the comment section below. If you loved the video, like and subscribe.